Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We have for you today another print and play card game by Toddsanders. This is called Do Not Forsake Me, Oh My Darling. I don't know why, but when I first saw the title of this game, it made me think of, what was that song? Engelbert Humperdinck or something. Is Please release me, let me go. Do not forsake me, oh my darling. Something like that. Anyway, when I first saw the title of this game, that's the first thing that came to mind. Now, bear in mind that I'm a bit of a metalhead. I like rock music. I've got absolutely no idea where I'd heard this Please release me song. But anyway, back on topic. Bit of a strange title to the game. This is actually the name of your ship in this science fiction card game where you are playing a bounty hunter crew scouring the rim quadrants of space looking for ships to destroy or capture for bounties. And this was released in 2014 and it was released for another contest. A lot of Todd's games are designed for these Board Game Geek contests. And this was from 2014. It was the 18 card contest. So this game consists of 18 cards. Now we'll go to the cards in a second. So let me just give you the quick intro from Board Game Geek. You and your misfit crew sail the space lanes in the Do Not Forsake Me, traveling from system to system as bounty hunters. It is your job to track down the dread pirates, criminals, and charlatan messiahs who prey on the innocent. And the goal of this game is to earn 30 mega credits. And the different bounties can give you different amounts of credits. So it's not just a case of finding one ship and ta-da, winning. No. You have to do a number of different ships on your travels. So before we get into the actual cards, the 18 cards, let me just go through the rules. Now, the rules that you download is, it's basically 2 pages. This is the first page, this is the second page. And on the third page, you've basically just got a description of one of the card types. So maybe 2.5 pages of rules. Now, I have to be honest, these are not the best rules that Todd has written in terms of clarity. There's a few places where it can be a little bit confusing in terms of what is being meant. But reading through a couple of times, it clicks. And it is a very clever design. There are a few things in here which are definitely unique. In terms of the mechanics, in terms of how you use the cards, Todd really has kind of gone full-scale creative on this game design. Now that is a good and bad thing. In terms of the creativity and the uniqueness, this game has it in cards. It has loads of these elements of very creative card design and game design, but the main mechanism which is used to kind of shuffle the cards, that takes a bit of getting used to, and some people may find it a bit too much. It's what we call the RSF. We'll come to that in a second. So the rules, like I say, I had to read this a couple of times before it kind of made sense. There are a couple of things that maybe could be explained a bit better. Hopefully with this video, I will help you to understand how this game plays. So we'll be following the same format as my other videos. I'll first show you the components that you print. Then we'll go through the rules of the game, and then we will have gameplay. Now, depending on time, this may be 1 or 2 videos. So let's take a look at the cards themselves. Now, like I say, this is an 18 card game, and the cards will be found on 2 pages or 4 sides because it's double-sided prints. So each page has 9 cards, as you can see here, and like I mentioned, they are double-sided. And the majority of the cards, you will be using both sides. In cases where the cards are only used one side, then the other side is used for things like quick reference notes, turn phases, things like that, just as helpful guides. So both are two-sided prints. So what do you get in these 18 cards, and what does the game comprise of? Well, it comprises of a lot of ink, as you can see. I think this was a low ink version. There are two inks. If you look at the rules, I think the basic game, you can see here these cards, they have a dark background in the center. I think there was a low ink version released, and that is what I've used here. You see here, those cards now have a white center. However, for your ship card and for the map cards, you're still going to be using a fair amount of ink. And my printer isn't the best. I haven't got a very expensive printer, so the quality of these cards isn't the greatest from my printouts. It's not easy to actually see the triangles and the blue backgrounds. I don't know whether you can actually see on the camera. I'll have to look when I do the editing, but even for me, looking at the cards here, it's not easy to see where the triangles and the blue, the dark blue of space meet, kind of thing, you know what I mean? So maybe for this game, I would recommend maybe getting printed professionally, spending a little bit of money maybe to get printed on a good quality printer with good resolution. Printing at home, like I say, I might have some problems, especially with the map cards. The other cards, not too bad. These are the dice cards here. There are 6 of those, again, double-sided. But the 4 map cards, yeah, like I say, I might have to work around the quality of my printer. So what do we have? Well, like I say, you have 6 dice cards. These are going to be used for a number of different things. They have numerous pieces of information on here. We'll go through those in the rules. But you have 6 cards, so basically you have 12 possibilities in terms of the dice cards. The map cards, you have 4 map cards, and again, these are double-sided, so again, you do have variety in this game. You're not going to be using the same 4 diagrams every time. You have your ship card, which is used to place on the map cards to show your location. Again, we'll go through this when we discuss the rules, but you may be able to see here you have your map cards, and you'll be positioning your ship card with your location corner located on these black triangles at the sides. Again, we'll go through these in a second. What else do we have? Well, you have your ship status card. Now, this is going to be where you put your status cards on here in these 4 corners to show your values, your current values of crew, wave motion cannon, fusion casting, and navcom. Again, little diagram here, but again, I'll show you when we go through the rules. What else do we have? Well, then we have a couple of reference cards. One, to keep track of your score or your mega credits. You have to obtain 30 mega credits to win the game, and you get credits by capturing bounties. You also have another card where it lists down very useful information. For example, re-equipping and repair costs, and also the events table. However, the events are in a yellow font, and it's not the best, not the easiest to read, if I have to be very honest. On the other side of those cards, there are, like I say, quick references. There's the rules, there's information, and I say, like the cards that are not double-sided, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you have this information on the back of those. In fact, it's a full set of rules, so you don't actually need to print the rules separately. You can actually get the rules on the cards themselves. Right, now that is the contents of the PDF when you download it from Board Game Geek. Again, it is a free game. Todd Sanders normally releases very, very good free games. So what I'm going to do now that I've shown you what these things are, I'm just going to show you one more thing, and that is expansion number 1. Let's move these out of the way. There is, for download on Board Game Geek, an expansion to the game as well. Only one so far, and again, this was a long time ago, so I don't really expect Todd to do any more expansions. So in this expansion, you get another 4 dice cards, which again are double-sided. You also get one more map card. Now, on this new map card, there is actually a symbol that he puts here as this icon on the expansion map card will be used with a future expansion. Well, I haven't seen the expansion for it yet, so I don't know whether you want to use this or not. But again, it is double-sided, so maybe you can add it for flavor. Now, these other dice cards in this expansion, these are not actually bounties. They don't actually have bounties on them, unlike the normal dice cards have, you know, as one of the information on there, they do have bounties. In the expansion, you don't actually have bounty ships on them. You actually have these as basically like the police, the Galactic Patrol, and these are basically vessels that are trying to stop you. So definitely it's going to add the difficulty level up. But like I say, we'll go through all of these cards once I've cut them out and rounded the corners and sleeved them as per usual. Now, I have printed these double-sided. My printer isn't the best at centering normally, so I'm going to have to see how well these cut out and how well they've been centered. If it doesn't come out very well, what I'll do is I'll print it out again, but I'll print it out single-sided and then put them into the card sleeve. So, join me in a couple of seconds and we'll actually have a look at the rules and we'll look at all the cards once they've been cut out. Okay, I have cut all the cards, I've sleeved them all up, as you can see here. Before we continue with actually going through the rules of the game, I just want to point out a couple of problems with the low ink file. Excuse the workers in the background. First of all, the events card. You can't read half of it. The yellow ink on the white background makes this events card in the low ink version pretty much useless. So you're going to have to print from the non-low ink file, from the normal file. Another issue is with the dice cards. On the low ink version, I can't see the DL number. I think this is the detection level. Each card is supposed to have in the center for the bounty part, for the ship you're supposed to be capturing. In these brackets, there's supposed to be a DL number. Now, the problem is that on the low ink file, it's light blue with a light blue background. You can just see it on the PDF, but when you print it out, I can't see anything there at all. So again, I've now had to print out the dice cards from the full ink version. So my recommendation, forget the low ink version unless you've got a very high quality printer where you can actually see what's supposed to be there. But it's still not going to cause you to correct this problem where you've got yellow, and I don't know what was going through whoever's mind, but you don't put yellow on a white background. You can't read it. So I would recommend not printing the low ink. Just print the standard ink, high ink version. It will save you from having to print again and cut again and all these things. Now, with that out of the way, I'm now going to cut out these new dice cards, replace the ones I printed out already, replace the events card, and then we will continue with the rules and learn how to play the game. 1 second. Right, let's get into the rules and gameplay. As you can see here, we have set up the board, or set up the cards. Here we have our credits, where we can keep track of how many credits. You have to collect 30 to win the game. Now, you can spend credits on repairs and upgrading your systems. But I'm assuming that you have to have a total of 30, not just collect 30, because then you would need another way of keeping track of your cumulative earnings without the spending. Whereas this is, like I say, I'm assuming that the 30 that you have to reach would be, including the spending. So if you start with 5, And you can use the event card with the arrow to keep track, or you can use a Euro cube or wooden cube or something. But you start off with 5 mega credits. So you basically have to earn a minimum of 25 more. But like I say, you can use credits to repair damage and also to upgrade. So for example, your Navcom, you start at 4, which is what we call the SRV. So you can use credits to repair damage from combat, which we'll explain in a second, or you can also upgrade these 4 types of system: crew, navcom, wave motion, cannon, and fusion casting. So you can repair them up to these values. These values are what they start at. These are the starting resource values, SRV. But you can also upgrade to higher numbers if you want to. That gives you much more benefits. But of course, every upgrade costs credits. And like I say, in combat, you can actually lose values here as well. They can get worse. That's why you've got 3, 2, 1. So, like I say, I'm thinking that this relates to having 30 mega credits, not just earning 30, because like I say, you will be spending them. That's how I think the game works. Now, during my first games of this, I found that actually made for an extremely long game. So I may not be doing a full playthrough for this. If you're keeping track of the credits that you earn, so you're not including the credits that you spend, then yes, the game's a lot faster, but you may need another way of keeping track of your money. So the credit card here, this card is the event card. It also has information regarding repairs and equipment, upgrades, and also repairs in space. The events we'll go through in a second as we go through the rules. What else do we have? Okay, so up here, like I mentioned, we have the ship systems. You have 4 types of ship system, and you will be rotating these cards clockwise for upgrades or repair, counterclockwise for when you take damage. Now, the Navcom, wave motion cannon, and the fusion casting can only go down to 3. They can't go to 0, okay? But the crew can. You start off with the maximum, which is 8 crew value. If this ever gets down to 0, the game's over. You lose. And also another thing, you can't repair or upgrade crew. That's all you get. You can't modify this number upwards at all. Once it goes down, it stays down. With the other 3 systems, yes, you can repair, you can upgrade, but crew, no. That's what you get. What else is there? We'll come to the dice cards in a second. Okay, here is the map made up of 4 map cards. Again, I'm not sure whether you can actually see this clearly. Maybe I'll do a quick graphic up here. But on these cards, you have black triangles on the side. You have 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So these black triangles represent quadrants that you will move to. This represents your ship position, and you will move through space, through these quadrants or these areas of space. So like I say, each card has 3, and you'll be moving clockwise, a minimum of 1 per turn, or a maximum of 1, 2, 3, 4 per turn. Now, of course, moving 4 will allow you to get to the stations, the space stations, a lot faster, but there's also more chance of having events. The map cards and also the dice cards they're going to have a special way of shuffling. It's what Todd calls RSF. Rotate, shuffle, flip. And the reason for that is this game was made for an 18-card challenge or an 18-card contest. In other words, the complete game must consist of 18 cards only, and everything has to be on those cards. So to maximize the use of those cards, what Todd has done is that he's used the cards basically for multiple results. So for the map cards, again, these are double-sided. So you can have these 2 variants of the quadrant of space, but you can also have the differences in terms of when it's rotated as well, because that also affects the position of space stations where you can upgrade and repair cheaper. The dice cards, again, you'll be using RSF, rotate, shuffle, and flip, to maximize the use of these cards. Again, they're double-sided, and each of these dice cards has a number of pieces of information. Again, I'm sorry about the glare. I have sleeved these because you need to sleeve these cards. If you don't sleeve these cards, with the amount of RSF that you'll be doing, they're going to get damaged really, really quickly. So these, again, I'll probably put a graphic of the card up so you can see it clearer. But on these cards, you have a number of pieces of information. In the center is your bounty information. This is going to be the criminals, the bad guys, the ships that you're going to be trying to capture. That information is in the center of the card. So each card has 2 possible bounties, back and front. And then at the top, you have 2 pieces of information. Well, actually 3 pieces of information that you're going to be using a lot. First of all, you have these little green dice faces. These are used to determine events. You have these larger white dice faces. These are used for pretty much every other dice requirement in the game. And then on the right-hand side, this relates to the damage that you take if you lose combat, and it tells you the systems that take damage. So in this case, it would be fusion casting, the little blue cog, and crew. So if when you're determining damage, this card comes up, you'll be taking 1 damage to fusion casting, 1 damage to crew. So you would then rotate the cards counterclockwise to reflect that 1 damage. So now you'll see the values are 1 less. What else is there? Well, you need a lot of those results here. So what you can also have is, if you rotate the card, there's another set of those values here. If you flip the card, there's another set of those values, all different, and another set here. So what he's done, what our friend Todd has done, is he's basically utilized 1 card to get 4 variations of results. And the only way that you can utilize those 4 different variations on the card is to rotate, shuffle as normal, and flip. So by using that system, RSF, you're going to be able to maximize the use of the cards and get one of 4 potentially different results. Because like I say, he's restricted in terms of how many cards he was allowed in the design. So it's a very clever way of doing that, a very clever way of maximizing the use of a card. However, as you'll see as we play the game, you'll be doing a lot of RSF. You'll be doing a lot of rotating and shuffling and flipping. And to be honest, it's the best part of the design, but possibly the worst part of the game. Because again, because of the restrictions in terms of card quantities, you've only got 6 of these cards. Yeah. And you'll be using 1, 2, 3, and possibly 4 cards every time you need to do something. So you're pretty much doing the RSF, rotate, shuffle, flip, every time, or almost every time that you need to use these cards. And it gets to be a drag. I have to say that. I have to tell the truth. It is a drag having to RSF all the time. And like I say, you do need to sleeve these cards. But saying that, it's a very clever mechanism of maximizing the use of a card. It's a very clever method when you are limited in how many cards you can have and trying to get the maximum use out of them. It is a very clever method, and I applaud the creativity in that. But like I say, doing the RSF does become a drag after a while. So that's basically going through the cards themselves. Now I have RSF'd the map cards, and you place them down in a column like this. And like I say, this represents the area of space that you are patrolling, trying to capture these bounties. And like I say, every turn you're going to be moving a certain number of spaces. Now, that is the first turn. Now, where did I put? It's not, I think it's on the bottom. It's on the bottom of these cards. Again, the cards that you don't have to use in the game in terms of shuffling and stuff, they've actually got rules on the back. So It's a reference. So everything's set up. What we're going to do now is we're going to actually play through the game, and I'll explain the rules as we play. Because like I say, it is a long game. Even if you don't spend any credits, getting to 30 is going to take quite a while. And my videos tend to be too long anyway. So that's pretty much everything. I do have a couple of D20s here, just to keep track of combat results, because my mind's not as good as it used to be. I am getting on a bit in the years. So let's talk about how to play, and let's play through a few rounds. Now, there are 3 basic phases to the game. First is movement, second is events, and third is combat. So starting off with movement, like I mentioned just now, you have a choice to move between 1 to 4 spaces, or quadrants. 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be your maximum movement. When you get to the top, you then go down the other side. So you're moving clockwise around this area of space, hunting down bounties. And like I say, each card, again, I don't know whether you can see it very well, but each card has 3 triangles or quadrants in their sector, and then 3 on the other side. So you're going to be moving around this area of space between 1 to 4 quadrants at a time. Some of these quadrants have this little sphere or circular symbol. This represents a station. Stations are the only place you can upgrade, improve your systems. You don't have to be in a station to do repairs to bring them back up to the SRV, starting resource value. But if you want to make them higher, you need to be at a station. Another thing is that when you're at a station, repairs are cheaper. Now, on my current map, I have a station here. I have a station there. And again, this is one of the problems with the low ink version. There is a station there, but I don't think you can actually see it. It's very dark. So like I mentioned just now, just a little while ago, I do recommend not printing the low ink version. I recommend printing the full ink version. Trust me. What else is there? Okay, so in the movement phase, you will move. You will then do any upgrades or repairs in the station if you're there, or you will do any repairs in space. So during the movement phase, that's where you also repair and upgrade. So let us take our first turn. Now, every turn you will be having a potential event. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to go to the first quadrant here. I'm just going to move 1 space in my first turn because there's a station there. Now, the reason for that is if I happen to roll up an event and it causes damage, I can repair it fairly cheap there. Yeah? Because if you're at a space station, you don't get a bounty that turn. It's only when you're in space itself that you see if there's a bounty. At a space station, you don't actually roll for bounties. But if an event causes damage, I'm only going to have 5 credits. So I want to get to the station in case the event caused me damage. So first turn, movement, I'm just going to move 1 this turn. So that takes me to the station. Now, I didn't think this through, did I? Because events come after the repair. So I could have moved more. Right. So we have moved. We haven't got any repairs or upgrades to do just yet. I'm a bit of a dunce. I should have remembered. Events come after movement. Never mind. Right, so now we are here. We still have to roll for events. We don't get bounties, but we do have to see if we get an event because we are still traveling. So for the event, you have to check these cards for these little green dice symbols, and they will have, again, it's like miniature dice faces. Again, you probably can't see that. It's probably not going to focus. But here is actually, again, I'll put a graphic up here just to show you. This is actually a dice face showing 4. This one shows 1. This shows 0. So what you're going to do is you're going to RSF. Okay, so take the top half, rotate. Yeah, rotate. Shuffle, as you normally do. and then flip. So to flip, you take the bottom half and you flip them over. Okay, now this dice deck is now ready to use. And another thing is you always draw from the bottom, not the top. So for events, you have to take or draw the same number of cards that you moved. So we only moved one space this time. So we're only taking one dice card. Now, on this dice card at the top here, again, I don't know whether you can see it. It has, in the green circle here, it has a dice number of 2. So I check the event card. Again, I'll put a graphic up here so you can actually see the event card. And you're looking for the number 2. ED represents event detection. So we got 2, so this is ED2, Meteor Storm. RSF, 1 dice card. If less than or equal to 2, you take 1 damage to the green system, which is the NavCom. Now, you don't automatically have that event. There is a chance that you can evade it or avoid it. So we basically see that there's a meteor storm, but can we avoid it? So for that, we have to do a NavCom check to see whether we can avoid the event. So for NavCom, what you do, if you look on the card here where it's got the starting value, we've got these 2 white squares here. What that represents is for NavCom, I'm doing two dice or 2 cards. So again, like I say, I'm not going to RSF these just yet because I've only used 1 card. So what I'll do is I'll take 2 cards again from the bottom of the deck. And for NavCom, you're taking these larger white dice. Now my NavCom is 4 at the moment, so I'm getting 2 results or 2 dice. If my NavCom was 1, I'm only getting 1 result or 1 dice card. So I get 2 and I see the result. The result is a total of 11. What you need is equal to or higher than the ED, the event detection. So we got a 2 for the event. We have to get a 2 or higher on this NavCom test to avoid it, which we did. So ED2, Meteor Storm, we did our NavCom, we detected it in time, we avoided the Meteor Storm. So there's no event this turn for us, luckily, otherwise we could have taken 1 damage. What's next? Okay, so that's the event done. Now, because we are at a space station, we do not check for bounties. Yeah, we don't find a ship that we can claim. Bounties don't appear in station quadrants. So that is the turn over. We now go to the next turn. Again, movement. Now let's be a little bit more daring this time. Let's move 1, 2, 3, 4. So this time I've moved 4 quadrants because I kind of want to get to the next station quickly. Again, from combat or event results, I may need to repair and stuff. So I want to try and get to that quickly. However, by moving further, I'm also going to be revealing more event dice. Yeah, the green ones. So we've used quite a few of these cards now. So what we're doing now is we're going to RSF again. So 1, 2, 3, rotate, shuffle, and flip. Yeah, so we flip the bottom cards, put down. Again, you're drawing from the bottom. So we have moved 4 quadrants. So I'm going to be checking 4 cards for events. So what did we get? Okay, we were actually very lucky. 0, 0, 0, 1. We were extremely lucky. So if we check the event card, a 1 tells me no threats detected. So again, there's no event this turn. We were really bloody lucky. So no events. Good, good, good. However, now we come to check bounty. Now this is still part of turn 2. We check for events, we check for bounty. Phase 3 is the combat phase. So what we're doing now is we're going to check for a bounty. Now, because I used 4 cards, I have to RSF again. So 1, 2, 3, half the deck, rotate, shuffle. 1, 2, 3, half the deck, flip. Right. So now we take the bottom card. So we have found for our bounty for this quadrant of space, we have found Mad Tom. So there's a number of pieces of information here for Mad Tom. Let's put him over here. what I'll do is I'll put a larger graphic of the card up here so you can see. So Mad Tom. Now at the top we have DL9. This is the detection level. If you want to basically avoid this guy, if you don't think you're equipped or upgraded enough to take on this bounty or this ship, you can try to evade. And that DL9 is the number that you have to try to get. So in order for you to avoid or evade the bounty, what you have to do is consult your navcom, draw the number of cards it shows you there, and the result has to be equal or higher than the DL number. So for example, I'm not gonna evade, I'm actually gonna do a combat against this guy. But if I wanted to evade, what I would do, my navcom is 4, so I get 2 cards. So I check, I check here, I get 7. 7 is not enough to avoid this guy because he has a detection level of 9. So I would need to get a 9 or higher to evade this guy, which I failed. So I would go into combat with this guy regardless. Okay, so that's how the evade works if you want to evade. Right, so if you fail to evade, or if you choose not to evade, we then go to combat. And combat can be extremely deadly because in the first turn, you may have a small advantage, but there is a pretty good chance that you could actually lose as well. Right, how do we do combat? Well, it all depends on your wave motion cannon system, this red card here. You'll notice that for each value of your cannon, and for your cannon, you can only upgrade to 4. There's no higher values than 4. For other systems, there are. You can go up to 8 with some of the others, but for the cannon, you can only go up to 4. Now, you'll notice that for each of these values, you've got a number of squares above it. So if you have a cannon value of 4, you've got these 3 white squares. If you have a cannon value of 2, which is your starting value, you have a white square, a red square with a black border, and another white square. Now these represent the results that you use from the dice cards. So it shows you the number of cards that you draw. So for example, we will always be drawing 3 cards for dice. But the results that you use and keep depend on the diagram here. So for example, let us draw. Now again, you would RSF, so 1, 2, 3. Now you've only got 5 cards in your deck because one of the cards is your bounty. You don't put that back. You keep that there as a reference. So in combat, you're only going to have 5 dice cards. So RSF, 1, 2, 3, rotate, shuffle. Again, you don't really have to shuffle that much. There's only 6 or 5 cards. And then flip. So flip. So for combat, what you're going to do is you're going to draw cards for yourself to find out the damage value or the combat value, CV. And then you're going to draw cards for the bounty and calculate his combat value. You need equal or higher than their result. Because if you get less, you lose the combat and you take damage. So we have a cannon value of 2, so we always draw 3 cards. So again, taking from the bottom, you always take from the bottom. 1, 2, oh God, that's terrible. So we have drawn 3 cards and we look at the large white dice. We've got a 1, a 2, and a 3. Now, you organize these in value. So you put them in order, lowest to highest. So 1, 2, 3. 1 is the lowest, 3 is the highest, 2 is the medium. Now, according to our diagram on our cannon, we've got a white for the first, we've got white for the last, and in the middle's a red with a black border. What that means is I keep the first card. I keep the last card. So I keep the lowest, I keep the highest, but I lose the middle one. I don't use the middle card or the middle dice. That's what that black square means, or the red square with the black border. That's what that means. I don't use that middle value. So my combat value is 4. However, you do have a slight advantage over the bounty in the first turn. You get to add a bonus from your fusion casting system. Now, this, again, I'll put a graphic up here because it's not very clear. Again, low ink is very hard to read. For your fusion casting, you'll get a bonus to your combat. Sometimes it can give you extra cards and extra dice. But at low values, like what you're starting with, it just gives you an extra point value. So with an SRV fusion casting of 4, it gives you +2 to your CV. Yeah, +2 to your combat. So we would get 4 + 2 is 6. If my fusion casting gets damaged and I go down to 3, it's then giving me only a +1 to my combat value. A 2 gives me nothing, a 1 gives me a -1. However, if I can upgrade it, let's say that I upgrade it to 8, I'm now getting an extra 2 cards and an extra 2 dice values. Powerful, yeah? So, in this example here, I get a total of 4 + 2 is 6. Now I'm going to use these dice to keep track of my combat values because, like I say, my memory is not what it used to be. Now, in the first turn of combat, the bounty will use exactly the same as you. So let's get rid of these. Remember, we got 6. So again, RSF, 1, 2, 3, rotate, shuffle, 1, 2, 3, flip. So we draw 3 cards for the bounty because he's using our system for the first turn. 1, 2, 3. Oh, damn it. Right, so you can see here, we arrange in order. So we get 2, 3, and 5. So first turn, the bounty uses our system or our values. So we see here, we lose the middle card. So we lose the middle value there, which is the 3. So that isn't counted. So he gets 7, but the bounty does not get the bonus from fusion casting. So, like I say, we tend to have a little bit of a bonus, but we can still get screwed up, as we can see here. We get 6. The bounty gets, where is it? 7, there we go. Now we have to get equal or higher than the bounty to capture him. We didn't. So what happens is we take damage because we lost that combat. We got less than the bounty. So what we do is we then have to, again, it says RSF, but forget that. We still got cards here we haven't used. So I will take the bottom card, and that tells me the damage that I take, top right. You're always looking top left or top right, yeah? So this is telling me that I'm going to take damage on my cannon. Again, I'll put a graphic up here. I'm taking damage on my cannon and crew. So I take 1 damage on my cannon. So my cannon is now at 1. Now I can't lose the cannon, okay? It doesn't go lower than 1. But if you notice here, when I'm now doing damage, I'm only taking the first and second dice cards. I'm losing the highest value. So my cannons become less effective. Now I'm also taking 1 damage to crew. Now, crew loss is not automatic. You have to make another dice roll. And what you have to do is reference the card because when your crew is at high levels, so 8, 7, 6, or 5, you have to draw another card, and if you get a dice value of 1, 2, 3, or 4, you lose 1 crew member. But if your crew has already taken a lot of losses and you are at either 4, 3, 2, or 1, then you only lose a further crew member if you get a 1, 2, or 3. So what that means is it's easier to lose crew when you've got lots. It's harder when you get few. And like I say, the game is over. You lose the game when you lose all your crew. So at the moment, we are at maximum crew. We are at 8 crew. So I now have to take a card. And if it's a 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the dice, I lose a crew. So again, we've still got cards here we haven't used, so I don't have to RSF just yet. So we take it, we get a 3. So a 3 does mean that I lose a crew. So I have to rotate. I now have 7 crew. And remember, you cannot recruit crew. You cannot get back the crew, okay? You can't repair, upgrade. That's it. You lose crew, that's it. But when it gets down to 0, you lose the game, right? So that is the first turn of combat. We lost. We now have to continue or flee. Now, if we flee, we lose the potential bounty value, the credits. In this case would be 3 or 4, depending on my cannon when we defeat it. Now, according to the game, I've read the rules a few times. I don't think there's any test that you have to make to break off. You just flee and leave. But I'm going to continue. So we're now fighting the next round of combat. Now, for the first round of combat, the bounty uses your cannon value. For future rounds, you then have to check the card. And you'll notice that there is more than one value. And this is how the game doesn't become too easy once you start upgrading. It kind of scales the difficulty with you. So if we look at this card here, again, I'll put a graphic up here of the card. We have 2 different attack values here. For wave motion cannon equals 1, then basically this guy is going to be drawing 3 cards and he's taking the medium and high values only, so he's losing the low value. If we defeat him, we get 3 credits. But if my cannon is equal or greater than a value of 2, he's going to be taking 4 cards and taking the lowest and the highest, which again could be a lot more dangerous, but his bounty value is now 4, so we would get 4 credits. Now, unfortunately, I now have a cannon value of 1. Well, unfortunately, because it makes my attacks weaker, but it also makes him take his weakest value as well. So we have used all the cards, so we rotate, shuffle, and flip. So we've got my new dice deck. So for me, I'm taking 3 cards. So I take from the bottom 1, 2. This is much better. However, damn it. However, because my cannon's now at a value of 1, I have to lose the highest value. Again, they're in order. Make sure that they're in order first, yeah? So I actually lose that 6. Damn it. So I get a total of 7 plus 2 from my fusion casting. So I get 7, 8, 9. So my combat value is, where is it? 9. Now, for the, again, I've used a few cards here, so I'm going to RSF. For the bounty, because my cannon has a value of 1, I'm using this value for his attack. So he's at a weaker state. So 3 cards. So again, rotate, shuffle. See what I mean about this RSF becoming a bit of a drag. And then 1, 2, 3, flip. Right. So we're taking 3 cards from the bottom. Oh God, 1, 2. Oh, gee. Shit. Okay, arrange in order, lowest to highest. He gets a 2, a 4, and a 6. Now, because of his cannon, he loses the lowest, which is the 2. Oh, damn it. Which is the 2. So he has a max, so he gets a combat value of 10. So he beats me by 1 again. Jesus Christ, my luck. Right, so again, we lose the combat. We now have to find out what damage he does. So, take from the bottom. Okay, so now we're taking damage to our fusion casting and crew again. So, fusion casting takes 1 damage. So it goes down to 3. So now I'm only getting a +1 to my combat. And crew as well. So again, crew, we still have to check. So we have to take a random card, and if it's a 1, 2, 3, or 4, we lose a crew. So again, well, actually, we've used quite a few cards. I'm going to RSF again. 1, 2, 3, rotate, shuffle, and flip. So we take 1 card. If it's a 1, 2, 3, or 4, we lose a crew. It's a 5. So this time we don't actually lose a crew. We were lucky. Right, so that's the second round of combat. Now, the third round. I've taken damage on my cannon, I've lost a crew, and I've taken a damage on my fusion casting. Now, I could flee and potentially just lose any potential bounty value. But I think I'm going to continue with the fight. So again, we are going to shuffle. I should probably flee, but you know, I need the credits. So what am I doing? I have to rotate, shuffle, and flip. Right. So I'm taking 3 cards. I'm losing the highest. I get it. 6, 3. Oh my God. I think I'll flee after this one. Right. So I do arrange in order. We lose the highest. So I get 4 plus 1, 5. I'm doomed. All right. So now for the enemy. Rotate, shuffle, and flip. Right. The enemy again gets 3 cards, but he keeps... Oh no. Jesus Christ. So 3 cards, arrange in order. 1, 4, and 5. He discards the lowest. Shit. So we got 5. He gets 9. We lose again. So we have to determine what damage we take. So rotate, shuffle, flip. Right, what damage are we going to take this time? Again, from the bottom, cannon. Okay, well, again, fairly lucky, I suppose, because the cannon can't go any lower than 1. So no damage this turn. Thank God for that. Now, I could continue. I could continue fighting this guy, but to be honest, let's flee. Because, like I say, I'm not having the best of luck against this guy, Mad Tom. So what we're going to do is we're going to flee. And like I say, in the rules, it doesn't say about any kind of test we have to make or any dice we have to roll. We just flee. So we're not getting any bounty this turn by the looks of it. We've taken a lot of damage, but we haven't got any bounties. So we flee. End of turn. We could have continued, like I say. Once we get higher than him, once I get equal or higher to him, we capture him. But it just wasn't going my way. So, new turn. So what am I going to do? I need to get to this. I mean, I can do repairs in space, but it's more expensive. And it all depends on how many spaces you move in the turn. It gets cheaper the more spaces you do. I mean, that's the balancing effect. The more spaces that you move, the more chance of events. But it costs less to repair. Now, I kind of want to repair my cannon. So we'll check here on the card, repairs in space, because I'm not at a station. So repairs in space for the cannon. If I want to heal back 1, it's going to cost me 7 if I move 1 quadrant, 6 if I move 2, 5 if I move 3, or 4 if I move 4 quadrants. I've only got 5 credits. Or should I do my fusion casting? Fusion casting is more expensive. 9, 8, 7, 6. 9 if I move 1 quadrant. 6 if I move 4 quadrants. Do I want to repair? Okay, so I think I want to repair this. So I'm going to move 4 quadrants. That way it'll only cost me 4 credits. So I'm going to move 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I move up to here. Again, I need to get to that space station. So I moved 4 quadrants. I now do my repairs. So I'm going to repair my cannon. So if I move 4 quadrants, it costs me 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 1 mega credit left. But I repair my cannon. Now, in space, you can only repair back to your starting value. You can't go higher. If you want to go higher, it's an upgrade and you have to be at a space station. Right, now, we did move 4 quadrants. So to determine possible events, I've got to check 4 cards with the green dice. So RSF, rotate, shuffle, and flip. So 4 cards, again, from the bottom, always from the bottom. Shit, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and blank. So it's all going pear-shaped. Right, so we look at the green dice. We've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this represents an event number 8. Again, I'll just use one of the dice to help me remember. So 8. 8 is Space Madness. RSF 1 dice card for ship system damage. Ugh. Let's see if we can evade it first. Let's see if we can dodge it. So we have to use Navcom. My Navcom is 4, which means I get 2 values. Now I have to get an 8 or higher. So RSF, like I say, it's a clever way of maximizing card use, but doing it so often gets to be a bit of a drag. Shuffle and flip. Right. So Navcom, I get 2 cards or 2 dice. I need an 8 or higher. I get 4. Ah, you bitch. 7. I don't evade it. Nuts. I need an 8 or higher. Right. So Space Madness takes place. RSF 1 dice card for ship system damage. Ah, nuts. Okay. So RSF again. Try not. You may not need to do this every time. I mean, you can actually go through the deck, I think, a little bit before you have to RSF sometimes. In the rules, I think there are a couple of places where it says about remaining cards. So shuffle and flip. Right. So Space Madness, RSF 1 dice card for ship system damage. Okay, from the bottom. Oh crap! You son of a bitch. We take cannon damage. I just repaired that. You son of a bitch. And crew. Okay, I'm just going to take from the bottom of the deck here. So crew, we're still here. 1, 2, 3, or 4. We take 1. We get a 1. Damn it! Lose another crew. Oh, true madness. Madness. I like driving in my car. Oh god, this game is not really, well, it's kind of normal for me. It's not going well. I've got 1 credit. I'm down 2 crew, down 1 there, and that's been damaged after I repaired it. You bitch. Right. That was the events. Now for the bounty. I've got to just, again, I'm in space. I've got to check for what bounty I find. If I'm at a station, I don't have to bother. So rotate, shuffle, and flip. Right. What bounty do we come up against this time? What ship do we find? It is the Krux. Krux. Again, I'll put a graphic here with the card. The Krux. Now, oh shit, this one's even more dangerous. Detection level of 8. So if I want to avoid him, I have to do a Navcom, and I've got to get an 8 or higher to evade him. For fighting, right, now, if again, first turn, he uses the same value as me. So it's really up to the cards, completely random, but I do get a +1. If I don't defeat him in the first turn, oh my god, he's taking 4 cards. If my cannon is 2 or less, he's taking 4 cards and keeping the middle 2. But bounty value of 6 credits. If my cannon is 3 or higher, then he's taking 4 cards and keeping the top 3. Jesus Christ. Bounty value of 8 credits. Well, I mean, should I try and evade him? I've got to get an 8 or higher on 2 dice. Yeah. Do I want to evade? It'll be 2 cards. I've got to get an 8 or higher. I don't trust my dice. Well, let's try it. If we fail, then I have to do combat anyway. So I'm going to use the remaining cards because we only took 1. So Navcom. I've got, okay, so 2 dice. I've got to get detection level 8. I've got to get an 8 or higher. A 5. Okay, it's a good start. You swine! Every time. I get 7, which is not enough. So we do not evade him. We have to fight him. I hate my luck. Even with bloody dice cards, my dice luck is terrible. Right. So we're fighting the Krux. The Krux we're fighting. So first turn of combat, we're both using my value here. So rotate, shuffle, and flip. Right. So 3 cards, we keep the lowest 2. 1, 2, 3. Oh, son of a bitch. No. 2, 2, and 6. So I have to lose the highest one, so I lose the 6. So we get 4, but we do get a +1 from our fusion casting because it's 3. So I get a total of 5. Shit. Oh no. Right, the enemy. What does the enemy get? Rotate, shuffle, oops, And flip. Right, what does this bastard get? 3 cards. A 6, a 4, you swine. And a 1. Okay. Oh, okay. I might be all right. So again, during the first round, he uses my stats. So we lose the top one. Okay, so he gets a 5. Now, that's equal to what we get. And in combat, you have to get equal or higher than their value. So we actually got equal. We both got 5. So that means I capture him. Thank God for that. Jesus Christ. We capture this guy. Now, when you capture a bounty, you don't keep the card. The card goes back into the deck, but you do get the bounty value. So my cannon is currently less than 2. So we get this first value here. So I get 6 credits. Whee! I'm up to 7. Yeah, I'm going to have to do some more repairs, I think. But this goes back into it. So we have our first bounty. We completed our first bounty, which was bloody lucky. We got the credits. Again, we've got to get 30 to win. And like I say, I think it's 30 including spending, because that's the only way to keep track. But it does make for a very long game. What I'll do is I'll do one more turn, and that will probably be the end. So we completed the bounty. We got the credits. We got 7 credits now. Do I want to do repairs? I think I will. So movement. I think I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Damn it! The station's 5 away. I can't reach it this turn. So I'm going to move 3. And then I can reach that on 2 next time. So 1, 2. I think part of the card's going to be out in the picture, but 3. Okay. So we have moved 3. So moving 3 to repair the cannon is going to cost me 5. So I'm down to 2 credits. Like I say, if I keep doing this, I'm never going to reach 30. But my cannon has been repaired back up to the SRV, which is the maximum I can repair in space. Right, now, so that's the movement and repairs done. Now we have to check for events. I moved 3 spaces, so rotate, shuffle, and flip. Right, so I moved 3 quadrants. So that is a 0, that is a 1, and that is a 0. Very nice. So a 1 is no threats detected. Very, very nice. Lucky, lucky, lucky. However, I am now in space, so I've got to check for bounties. So again, RSF, R, S, F, flip. Right, what bounty do we have this time? What ship are we up against? We are up against the Semyon Black. Again, I'll put a graphic here so you can see. The Semyon, again, I don't know whether it's going to be here or over here, but I'll put a graphic up so you can see. Semyon Black has a detection level of 10, bounty of 4 or 6. Okay. Not quite as bad as the last one, but it could be. If my cannon was on 4, it could be very bad. Right, so we are going to... I'm not going to flee this. I'm going to try and attack this guy. So, first round of combat. Again, he uses my values here. So, we've done the rotate, shuffle, flip. Right, so now my cannon's at 2. Luckily, it didn't get damaged. I'm taking 3 cards and I'm losing the middle value. So 1, 2, 3. So the middle value is bump, bump, bump. The middle value is the 3, so I lose the 3. So I've got 6 plus 1 from my fusion casting is 7. Oops, so that's the enemy dice. So I get a total of 7. Right, let us do the enemy. So rotate, shuffle. This would be a good game for you magic players that do all the flipping things. You do the shuffling when you're waiting. And flip. Right, what does the enemy get? The Semyon Black gets... Oh my god. Oh, shit, my luck. Even at bloody dice cards. Dice cards hate me. Right, so in order we get a 1, 4, and 6. We lose the middle card. Okay. He gets a 7. Oh god, that's lucky. Okay, so he gets a 7 as well. So equal to or higher means I capture them. Good. If I had lost the combat, I would have taken damage, and the next turn he would have been using, because my cannon's 2, he would have been using 3 cards, taking the highest 2. Ugh. But luckily, in the first turn, we got him. First turn is kind of balanced, kinda. You have a slight advantage. But after that, generally, you have a disadvantage. Right. So we capture him. Excellent. But my cannon is value of 2. So we get a bounty of 4. So I get 4 credits. So I'm back up to 6. Again, this guy goes back into the deck. And that is how the game plays. And you would keep going around this area of space, repairing, fighting, taking damage, until either you get 30 mega credits or you lose your last crew, in which case you are dead. So that is Do Not Forsake Me, oh my darling. A very clever little game. Very, very clever, but it's, like I mentioned, I think it's quite a long game. To get the 30 credits when you have to keep spending on repairs, it can be, it can take a long time. So like I say, I don't know whether, maybe for a shorter game, you want to keep track of your cumulative earnings. So you have to earn 30 and then keep track of your spending somewhere else. So you can only spend a maximum of 30. Like I say, that will give you a much shorter game, but it doesn't really reflect the risk rewards, in terms of, repairing your ship and anything else. But if you limit yourself, for example, you keep track, maybe with a dice, you keep track of how many credits you have. Maybe you want to repair, costs you 4, so you've only got 1 credit left to spend in terms of repairs and everything else. But you keep track of your earnings here. Then, like I say, the game will be a lot shorter, probably a better length of time. Because like I say, I have played this game a few times before and the games were really long. Really, really long, and doing the whole RSF all the time just kind of gets to be a bit of a drag. But it is worth a go. It is worth downloading and trying out. Like I say, it is a free game from Board Game Geek. The link's in the description. And it's a worthwhile addition to your library. Like I say, don't print the low ink version, print the full ink version. Just because there's a lot of cases where you have yellow ink on a white background where things are not visible on the cards, like the detection level. On the low ink cards, you just can't see the detection level because it's light blue on a light blue background. And for things like the event card on the low ink version, you've got yellow text on a white background. You can't bloody read the thing. So my advice, download. It is fun. But like I mentioned, maybe use an alternative method for the money. Keep a cumulative total. Keep your spending on a dice or something. The game's a lot quicker, a lot more fun that way. I think it's going to be a bit more fun. The RSF, like I say, it's a very clever mechanic to maximize the use of cards, but it does get a bit wearing. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Yet another Todd Sanders game to add to your collection. I do recommend this. It is fun. It is clever. Before you go, please do take a moment to like and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. I really am trying to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I have a couple more of Todd's games printed up, ready to record. I have some other games coming your way, both print and play card, print and play board, RPG maybe, and also miniatures games. Of course, I have miniatures games. I've got some Borderlands coming up. I've got some sci-fi coming up as well. Anyway, guys, enough about that. Do Not Forsake Me, oh my darling. Worth downloading. Thumbs up from me. So guys, thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. See you in the next video. Cheers.